All right. First thing, you need to read the question. This question here is different from the one that I was doing yesterday as an example. That was a grade 11 question. So I'm going to carry on with the other question, but I gave you this so that you can practice or you can apply what we did under grade 10. All right? And please, boys and girls, please be aware that in the next coming weeks and months, until you write your final paper, all right, you are going to be under pressure. Right? You are going to be under pressure. And that is a common thing if you are in matric. So if I give you homework, I will not accept anybody who gives me an excuse that I was preparing for this, preparing for that. If it means you have to sleep after midnight preparing or whatever subjects you'll be preparing or studying, that has to happen. All right? Your success is not going to fall from the sky. You have to work for it. Okay? All right. So let's get on here. Now, the first thing, if you want to answer this question, you read the question. So the question says the percentages achieved by a learner for a series of mathematics tests that he wrote throughout his grade 9 year are as follows. So these are the marks here, right? Now the first question says calculate the 5-number summary. All right. Now before we go anywhere, you must look at the data set. Is it arranged in ascending or descending order? Now this one is not arranged in any order. Okay, it is random. So first thing, we have to rearrange. All right, we have to rearrange. So what's the minimum? 28. The minimum is 28. So we start by writing here 28, then followed by what? We have 29. Okay, so it will be 30. Also check for. Also, you must check how many times the value appears in the data set. So we have got our 28 there, and then we have got 28, then we have got 30, right? So we have got 30, then do we have 31, 32, 33, 35? Now, so we have got a 35 here, we have got another 35 there. Right? So we put 35 there. Then we have got a 37. And then we have 38. Right? And then we have a 39 as well. That one there. We have 40. No. 41. No. 42. 43. We have got 1. 43 there. We have a second one. Okay, so we have got a 43. We have a 44. 45. 47. Okay, then we have a 47. 49. Right. 47, then we have got a 49. How many 49 do we have? 2. Right? So we've got another 49 there. Then we have got a 50, which is that. And then 51, yes. 53. So we've got a 51, 52, no, we've got a 53, and then we've got a 55. 55. Okay, 55, we've got 2, and then 56, right? And then 50 what? 58. Now, let's just count, okay? Okay, let's just count. Okay, how many values we got? There were 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 in total. Right? There are 20. So let's just check. Now, if you do it manually like this, you need to be very, very careful of making a silly mistake. You can miss one value. So you just have to check. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Right? So there are 20 of them. Okay? Can you put that there? Maybe in your pocket. Okay, so let's determine our 5-number summary. Right? So first, So we are answering 1A. Okay. So 1A, our minimum is 28. Minimum is 28. And then the maximum is 58. Now, let's determine, okay, I prefer that you find Q2 first. Okay, so that you can use the position of the Q2 to determine what? Q1 and Q3. So our Q2, since this data set is even, okay, it has got 20 values. It means we must go to the 10th value and the 11th value. How do I know that? Remember, I told that if you want to know the median position, the first one, if the data set is even, you just say n over what? 2. So it will be 20 over 2 gives you 10. So you must go to the 10th value in the data set. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So the 10th value is 45. But the data set is even. Therefore, we also have to take into account 47. Are you following that? All right? The data set is even. Sorry. Please. Okay. So Q2 is going to be equal to 45 plus 47 over 2. And you get 92 over 2, and that will give you 46. Right? Okay? So our median is between those two values. So it's 46. Now, if you want to determine Q1, remember yesterday I said Q1 is the median of the first half of the data set. So our first half of our data set is going to stop here. Okay, let me just see here. It's going to stop here. This is where it stops. So all the values from 28 all the way up to 45, including the 45, are part of the first half of the data set. So there are 10 values from this 28 all the way up to that 45. So what do? It's n over 2, so that we identify the first value of the data set that we are going to use to determine the median. So n over 2, it will be 10 over 2, which is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the fifth value. But the values, they are even, so we also need 37. All right? So our Q1 is going to be equal to 35 plus 37 all over 2. You'll get 72 over 2. That will give you 36. Okay? Then, to determine Q3, it is the median of the second half of the data set. So again, we are going to do the same. Our second half starts here at 47 all the way up to 58. So we just need to locate the fifth value and the sixth one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we stop here, and then we also take into account the sixth value. Okay? So our Q3 is going to be equal to 51 plus 53 over 2, which gives us 104. 104 over 2 will give you 52. Okay, so I've determined the 5-number summary. I've determined the 5-number summary. I've got my minimum, I've got my maximum. I've got my median, which is Q2, then I've got my Q1, which is the lower quartile, and then I've got my Q3, which is the upper quartile. All right? Now, once you determine your 5-number summary, you can then be able to answer B, that is to draw the box and whisker. Now, if I look at my values here, the minimum is 28 and the maximum is 58. So can you just give me a second? I need to carry on with my lesson. So let's carry on. So after finding the 5-number summary, the next thing now is to draw the box and whisker diagram. Right? Now, to draw the box and whisker, it's not that complicated. Okay? So if I want to draw the box and whisker, all right. If I want to draw the box and whisker, I must use my 5-number summary. So I'm going to start with the minimum first, right? Now, I'm going to just to remind you what I told you yesterday. In an examination situation, you'll get a number line which looks like this. All you just have to do is just draw the box and whisker on top of the number line. That's all. Right? So our minimum is 28. So if I go to my number line, 28 is here. Right? Now I've made a decision that I'm gonna draw my box and whisker in that line, this one here. Right? So that's why the minimum, it's my choice based on the area I have here. Okay. So I have plotted the point where 28 is. Then I need Q1, which is 36. Okay, so 36 is here. Now, with Q1, you just draw a vertical line. Okay, so I'm going to draw my vertical line at 36, so I'm going to draw it like that. So that's 36. Then my Q2 is 46. Q2 is 46. Right? I'll draw it like that. Then my 52. So 52 is here. I'll draw it nicely. Right? Then the maximum is 58. So 58 will be somewhere there. Then you just join the quartiles like that. And then you also join the maximum and the minimum. Okay. So that will be the box and whisker. Now, generally in my case, I prefer that you can just do a bit of some leveling. So that's the minimum. This is Q1, and that's Q2. Then you have got Q3 and maximum. So that's the box and whisker. Right? This is what you are supposed to have done. Well, generally maybe 3. Right? 3. Okay, the whole question like this. Okay, let me just check. The 5-number summary, the first one, you should get 5 marks there. Right? And then we can have 3 for the box and whisker. And then the range could be 1 mark, and the interquartile range probably 1 mark. So this would be maybe 10, I would say maximum 10. Okay. And it's normally the first or the second question of your maths paper 2. All right? Yeah. Okay, if you don't get the question in the coming standardized test, you might get it in the trials, question of this type. Okay, you might also get it in the final examination. Yes. Okay. Right. I now need to talk about the range. Can I have your attention? Now, the range, remember the range is that it's just the difference between the smallest and the largest. So our smallest here is 28, the largest here is 58. So this is so easy. Right? So our range, that is C1, the range is equal to 58 minus 28, which is 30. Then the interquartile range IQR is equal to Q3 minus Q1. Okay? Now, our Q3 is 52, and our Q1 What?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, 36.
It's 36.
30. Yeah.
Right? So the answer will be 16. Okay, please, I want you to be aware that finding the interquartile range is very easy. Finding the interquartile range is very easy. Once you get your Q3 correct, your Q1 correct, finding the interquartile range is very easy. Okay, it can be done by anyone, even a learner who is in primary school. Just to subtract two numbers, one from the other. That's very simple. All right, let's go back to the question I was doing yesterday. That is the example. Let's go back to the example. Okay, I need to move, please. I need to move. You have got the values there. I don't see why it take you long to just write. Huh? Okay, I need to move on.
Yes, sir.
Right, you can catch up because the stuff is already there. All right. So yesterday I stopped here. This is very serious. Okay. So yesterday we determined the mean, then we determined the standard deviation. I hope you saw how I used a calculator yesterday to find the mean and the standard deviation. Please be aware that according to your curriculum, you don't need to do it manually. You just get your values from your calculator. Just enter all your values in the calculator, then you just retrieve the answers. You will get full marks. Okay? So, by now you should know how to find the mean, how to find the standard deviation. Okay, now a very common question which can come is a question like this. Let me move on to the next page. Now the question says, what percentage of the data values are within one standard deviation of the mean? All right? By one standard deviation, we are saying we have got our mean here. All right? We have got our mean, which is what? Approximately 47, right? We have got 47 here. I'm 47. All right? I'm the mean. But the standard deviation is 20.57. So what this standard deviation tells us is that from the mean, okay, there are some values that are to my left that are at most 20 units away. Okay? I'm the mean. But there are some values that are at most 20 units away to my left. Also, 20 units away to my what? To my right. I'm the mean. Remember, I told that the mean is the reference. Okay? That's like the headquarters. If you want to say that, or head office. Right? So, if we want to determine how many, or rather the percentage of data values that are within one standard deviation, we need to subtract the standard deviation from the mean. We also need to add the standard deviation to the mean so that we get an interval, okay, such that within that interval we can determine how many values fall into that interval. That's one standard deviation. Sometimes when you have two standard deviations whereby you multiply the standard deviation by 2 and then you add the answer and subtract it from the mean so that you get an interval. So, in a nutshell, if you want to do this question here, we need this interval. I hope you remember that you were taught interval what? Notation. You remember that? So, if we want to do number 3, we need to know this interval here. X bar minus sigma, right? We subtract the standard deviation from the mean. Then we also need to know x bar plus sigma. Okay, so this interval here, we then have to find how many values in the data set fall into this interval. Okay? Remember, our reference is our mean. So we can simplify this and write it in inequality form as x bar minus sigma is less than x bar is less than x bar plus sigma. Okay. By the way, I hope everyone will put a little sign there. Right. Now, remember, when you write the domain and the range, you use square brackets or you use what? Circular brackets, right? When you write, remember you always start with the minimum, then the what? With the maximum. So here, this x bar minus sigma, that's like the minimum. This x bar plus sigma, that's the what? The maximum. Right? Now, fortunately, we have got some values. Okay, we have got some values here. Remember, we determined our x bar. Now, allow me to use the one that we did not round off. Okay, don't make a big difference. So I'll use 46,93. So it will be 46,93 minus the standard deviation, which is 20,57 minus 20,57, right, is less than x bar. Our x bar is 46,93. This is less than 46,93 plus 20,57. Can you please just use the calculator quickly and tell me what is it? This will be 26,36, right? And then the other one should be what?
27 comma.
Right? I like that you want to do work, but this is not the correct time. It's what here? What? 57.5. Right, like that. Now, the next thing now, if we want to know what percentage of the data values are within one standard deviation, we have found the minimum of the interval and the maximum there. So the next thing is to go to our data set and count the number of values that fall within this interval here. How many of them are between 26 and 67? Okay, so let's do the counting. Right? We want values that are between 26 and what? 67. So let's start with the 48. Right? The 48 is really within that interval, am I right? Right? 40 as well. 65, 35, 42, 12, no. Right? 18, no. 102, no. 63, yes. 55, yes. Right? 43, yes. 38, yes. 27, yes. Right? 50, yes. 68,
No.
no. Well, please be aware that you must not round off. Right? So let's not round off. So check the 68, no. 55, yes. 43, 80, no. 74, no. 35, yes. Right? I hope you're following what I'm doing. Right? Then 33, yes. 35, 72, no. 60, no. 49, yes. 58, yes. 50, yes. 48, yes. 39, yes. Right? Remember, what is the total of the values? Okay? I'm talking about the total of all of them.
Oh, 1,408.
Okay, how many values do we have in total? There are 30. Yeah, yesterday. So we have got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 times 3, which gives us what? 30. Now, if we want to know what percentage of the data values are within one standard deviation, all we have to do is just let's count the ones that are within this interval here. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15. Okay, let me recount now. You see now, listen, you are busy talking. So we've got 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So what you do now is divide. So percentage of values within one standard deviation will be equal to 21. But the total is what? 30. Then you multiply by 100%. And your answer will be 70%. So what this means is that 70% of the values in that data set, they are within what? One standard deviation. Right? So remember, this is C3. Are you following them? Yes. Huh? Okay? Remember, the question started here. Then I carried on. Are you following? Huh?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right. Then number 4 now says, how many observations are within 2 standard deviations? Can I have your attention? Now, with 2 standard deviations, all we now have to do is multiply this sigma here by what? By 2. We multiply this sigma here by 2. But the procedure is still the what? The same as how I did C3. Because the question now says we want observations of values that are within 2 standard deviations. 2 standard deviations means 2 sigma. Okay? 2 standard deviation means 2 sigma. So initially, our standard deviation is this one here, right? It's 20,57. If you multiply this by 2, it will become what? What? 41. So I'm the mean. Now, instead of moving 20 units to my left, I'm now moving what? 41 units. Okay? To my left. I'll also move 41 units to my what? To my right. Then I now need to determine in the data set how many values are within that interval. Okay? So I've got it already, so you won't need to spend too much time. So first we write our interval, right? So it will be x bar minus 2 sigma is less than or equal to x bar minus less than or equal to x bar plus 2 sigma. Then we simplify, right? You get your interval, okay, which is going to be 5,79 is less than or equal to x bar is less than or equal to 88,07. So what this means is you just have to look at all the values that are between 5,79 and 88,07. Now if you do the counting, right, the only values which won't be in this interval here are going to be this 102 and that 5. Those are the only ones. Okay? The rest are going to fall in this interval here. So the total number of observations within 2 standard deviations is going to be 28. Are you following?
No. So 28 is this one.
Okay. Look at like this part. Are you following? You want values? It is you want values that are within 2 standard deviations. If it's 2 standard deviations, we multiply sigma by what? By 2. If it was 1 standard deviation, we only put sigma here, and we only put sigma there. Okay? But now it's 2 standard deviations, so we multiply sigma by what? By 2, which is what I did here. Okay? Right? Then I found the interval to be between 5,79 and 88,07. Are you following me? Then you got your data set. You identify the number of observations or the number of values in this data set here that fall within 5,79 and 88,07. So let's do it now. 48. Is 48 between 5,79 and 88? 40, 65, 35, 42, 12, 18, right? 102, no. 63, and so on. So you find that the only values which are not within this interval here, it's going to be 102 and what? 5. So in total, how many of them are within this interval? It's going to be 30 minus 2, which gives you what? 28. Are you following? We are following. Like, please be aware that from my experience, a question like this, a lot of learners, they find it difficult to do. A question like that. Okay? They find it challenging to what? Which word did I use? No. No, I'm saying I made a mistake. Oh. Right. Can you wait, please? Can you wait? Can you wait?